Somebody send you a project, but you don't have the same qualitative analysis software. How do you open? Right. What about if you want to conduct a specific analysis, but the current software that you are using cannot help you to do the analysis that you want to do? And you want to transfer the whole project to another qualitative analysis software. So in this presentation, I'm going to limit myself to 4 qualitative analysis software. So let's start with NVivo. And so let's say, as you can see that I have my project here, all my transcript I've already analyzed, I have my codes here, and maybe I'm trying to send this information to a person or another researcher to review what I've done, but a person doesn't have NVivo. Maybe the person has Dedoose or MAXQDA. What do? It's very simple. You go to share, you see share here, and you go to export project, and then you choose the last option here, REFI-QDA project. So that's what you have to choose, REFI-QDA project. And then you browse and choose the place that you want to save. So I'm going to save it on my desktop, and you can give it a name. So this one I can say that interview project, and then I save it. Right. And the reason why we chose the REFI-QDA project is that your projects have been transformed in this format so that you'll be able to open in other qualitative software. So that's why you choose the last option here. And you click on OK. And then all your projects will be exported. And then, so as you can see, let's go to my desktop so that you can see what I have there. So this is what is there. You see the interview, and then, so this is what is there, right? So in this format, you can open it in ATLAS.ti, MAXQDA, Dedoose, and some qualitative analysis software. So that's how you can export, right? And if somebody has sent you a project like this, right? Let's say the person sent it to me from NVivo like this. Let me go to Deduce. Okay, so let's go to Deduce and see whether we'll be able to open this project, right? So imagine somebody has sent you this and then you only have access to Deduce, right? So let's see whether we'll be able to open. So if you want to open in Deduce, what you have to do is first have to open a project. So you go to project, and then you can click on create, and you can type interview project. You can give it any name that you want. And then you can click on OK. You can give a description that you want, but it's not required. So you can click on submit. And now you have opened a new project. Now you can import the project. How do you import? You click on import data, and you see here import project. You click on that, and then it's asking you of a password. You don't choose that password. You don't do anything. Just click on submit. And then you go to where the information is. So it's on my desktop. So you can see here that it's here, this one, the one that we exported from NVivo. So you select that, you open, and then within few seconds, you have all your data, the projects uploaded. So you can see that the same project, we have 10 transcripts, they are all here. And then you can see here that you have all your codes here, including the research question and also their respective codes. There are some things that have moved here and there. It's not going to be perfect. So you have to just go through and clean up a little bit, like P1, P10. All these are not needed here, right? So you can just delete them. So you click on, you go to edit, and then you can delete, right? So you can always delete them. Sometimes it's not going to be perfect in terms of transfer, but you can see that all the information that you need are here. You have your media, which is the document, right? All the transcript, and you have all the themes and the codes under their respective teams. You also have the excerpts. The one thing that you don't have that you have to work on is descriptors, which is demographic information. The transfer is not perfect. Most of the information will come, but some of them may not come. One example is demographic information. So you have to go ahead and set up the demographic information, right? Because it wasn't part. When you look at NVivo here, you can see that when you go to participant, I have the demographic information, but when I exported, it was missing, right? So you have to put that information there. But the good thing is that you have your transcript and all the codes that have been generated. So about 80% of the information was transferred, right? But you have to delete some of the information that are not needed here, right? So you just check on them and delete. Submit. Okay. So it's deleting them. So I'm going to also show you that now that you know where to import a file from NVivo into Dedoose, what about how to export a file from Dedoose into NVivo, right? How to export a file from Dedoose. How do you do that? I'm going to show you. So let me open a new project. So imagine that you have a data, you have a project, you have already coded. So you have 5 participants here. You have already coded them. You have all your themes here, right? And then you want to export. You also have demographics when you go to descriptors. You have all the demographic information here. So let's see if you export. How are you going to also import? If you export from Dedoose, how are you going to import in NVivo? So if you want to export, you go to Home, right? And then what you're going to do is that you click on Export, and then you choose Export Project. And then you just put the email address. Let's say you are sending to yourself, you put your own email address. If you are sending it to somebody, you put a person's email address, right? So I'm sending it to myself, info@drphilipedu.com. And then it wants you to confirm info@drphilipedu.com. We shouldn't put any password there, right? So you just go ahead. But before you go ahead, you see that you have given 2 options. Choose the second option, which is QDPX project, right? If you choose the first option, you cannot open it in any other qualitative analysis software. But if you choose the second option, you'll be able to open. So I choose the second option and I click on submit. And then it will send an email when it's ready, right? So I'll check my email. They send me a link, so I'll click on the link now. So I have it here. A link was sent. I click on it to download, and I'm going to give it a name. I'll kind of say, so Burnout Project. Right. So let's see whether we'll be able to open it in NVivo and see whether we will get all the information that was in Dedoose. Right. So let's go to NVivo. So what you're going to do is go to NVivo and open a new NVivo page or window. Okay, so now I've opened NVivo, right? So where do you want to go to open the project that you have exported from Dedoose? You go to open other project, and then you go to your desktop if you save it in your desktop. Here is very tricky. You see that the file is not here, but you have to select this place and choose the last but one option. REFI-QDA project. You click on that, and then it has showed up. So we are focusing on burnout project. So we select that, click on open, and then it's asking you where to save after the system has converted. I want to save it on my desktop. So I can say, I think the same thing, but I'm gonna give it a like project _new, and then click on save, and then click on convert. So the system is going to convert it and open the project for you. So it's converting the file to take some few seconds. Okay, so it has opened. So let's examine whether we got everything that we need from the project. So we have all the 5 transcripts, that's good. And we go to code The arrangement is not all that perfect, but we have the two focus, which is the burnout causes and solution. That's perfect. But we just have to, it created the two new container that we don't need, like questions and FT. So we just have to right click on it and delete because we don't need it. So sometimes you have to examine and take out ones that are not important. So let's see whether we got information about demographic. We did not get any information about demographics, so we have to create our own demographics. So the same issue that we had when we transferred our project to Dedoose from NVivo, we got all the information, but we didn't get the information about demographics. So that's a little limitation that you have to be aware of. When somebody sends you a project, you may not get all the information. So as you can see here, I did not get the demographic information, so I have to set everything up for the demographic. But apart from that, I have the files, I have the codes that have been created. Yes, about 80% information have been transferred, right? So that's a good thing. So let's try to move to ATLAS.ti. Let's try use one of these burnouts, right? So burnout project, you can see that we have 5 participants, and then we have 2 main research questions, and then under that we have codes. Right, so everything has been coded. Imagine that you want to send this one to somebody to open it using a different qualitative analysis software. So how do you export? So what you can do is that you go to Files, right? And you see Export here. And this time you choose the second option, right? QDPX, right? And then you can click on the project bundle and let's save it here, right? I don't know whether you are following the pattern. Those files that can be opened in a different software, it always ends with QDPX. Whatever it ends with .qdpx, this means that it's a universal file that can be opened in majority of the qualitative analysis software. So now I'm going to save this one here. So I've saved it on my desktop, and then it's telling me that it's finished exporting. And if I want to view or save the report, I can save that. I don't need to save the report, so I can just close it. And now let's see whether I can be able to open this in MAXQDA. Let's try MAXQDA and see what we're going to get. So I'll go to MAXQDA. It's a different qualitative analysis software. And then I open MAXQDA. So what you have to do is you can go to open, right? And then you see that you have, when you go to your desktop, right? I have the one, this is the one that I exported from ATLAS.ti. I select that. I click on open. And then you click on OK. And then hopefully all the information will be here. So as you can see here from documents, this is what came. So it's showing age, information, ethnicity, everything on top here. And this is not what we wanted. The formatting is a little bit different. The reason why I'm showing all these things is that I want you to also identify some limitations. So now if you export it from ATLAS.ti and send it to MAXQDA, this is what your data, if it's interview data, project in terms of interview, this is how it's going to look like. It looks like it has brought the demographic information here, and that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for all the transcripts should be here. So let me search whether I can find the transcript. It looks like the transcripts are under some of the demographic information. So I can see one transcript P1 here. I can see P4 here. I can see P2 here. So it has changed a little bit. This is where you can clean it up a little bit. So before I suggest the cleanup, let's see what we have here concerning the codes. So concerning the codes, we have the themes here. We have the theme, but the codes are also grouped somewhere. No, no, the grouping is not good. So my recommendation is that you have to be very careful when somebody's sending information from a project from ATLAS.ti to be imported into MAXQDA. This is how it's going to look like. You have to do a little bit of cleaning. The themes are somewhere and the codes are under the research question. And when you look at ATLAS.ti, you can see that the themes are grouped here, right, in the different formats, right? So maybe it's confused the system a little bit. So it's not going to be a perfect project structure if you transfer from ATLAS.ti to maybe MassQDA. Let's see if we want to upload all this information from ATLAS.ti to NVivo, what we're going to get, right? So let's try the ATLAS.ti to NVivo. So if you want to import into NVivo, you go to File and you go to Open, right? And then you go to Browse. And then remember that whenever you look for the location, you have to go here and change it to REFI-QDA project. And then this is for the ATLAS.ti one. So we double click to open and see how it's going to look like. So it's asking you to convert and asking you where you want to save. I want to save it on my desktop. I can call it a project new to, and then I click on convert. Let's see how it's going to look like. Let's see whether we're going to get the similar kind of results when we imported it into MassQDA. Okay, so we have all the 5 transcripts here. Let's go to code. We have the codes here. We have all the themes, the codes under the research question. We have another code under the research question. That is awesome. So it was able to arrange things nicely. Let me go to, it did not bring the themes. You see the themes here? System did not bring the system was able to bring the codes. So we were able to get all the codes, but no theme addressing the research question. It's not all that perfect, but it's good, right? It's quite similar to the MassQDA one because when you look at MassQDA, we have all the research question here and the theme and the codes here, but the themes were separate, right? So I think that it's all about the formatting. So this is how you're going to get if you import it from ATLAS.ti, right? So you get all the codes under their respective research question, but the themes may not be found or the theme may be hidden somewhere. So, and as you can see from MassQDA, the themes are empty containers. You see there's nothing in there, right? So I can say like you get 70% of the information. You may not be able to see your themes. You may have to create the themes, but the codes are there under their respective research question. Let me see whether you have the demographics. There's no information about the demographics, so you have to create a demographic yourself. You have only the transcript and also the codes. So that's what you're going to get when you transfer information from ATLAS.ti into one of the qualitative software. What about exporting from MassQDA and then importing it into less NVivo? So let's see what we're gonna get. So imagine that you have a focus group data. This is a focus group data, right, from MassQDA. So as you can see that I have 2 transcripts and then under the one for the focus group 2 and one for focus group 1. And under that we have the group members. So these are the members there, right? And the data has already been coded. We have all the themes under each of the research questions. So these are the themes, and they are also codes under the research question, right? So let's see if you are transferring the information. Bear in mind that This is quite different from interviews, right? Let me show you how interview looks like. Interview data set. So as you, let me see. So interview, as you can see here, we have participant 1 to 10, right? 10 participants, each person has a file, right? So transferring will be a little bit different from a focus group. Let me go back here. A focus group that we have only two files, right? So we have two focus groups, and then under that we have participants. So these are the participant information, right? We have P1 to P5 here, and then we have P to P10 here for group 2. So only two files were imported into the system and it has been coded, right? So let's try to export this from MAXQDA. And after exporting, we can try to see whether we can open it in Vivo and see what we're going to get, right? So we go to Save As. And here, make sure that you go here to this part and choose REFI-QDA project, right? We choose that. And we're going to save this one on the desktop. Click on Save and click on OK. So now we have saved that. Let's try to see whether we can open it in NVivo, right? So if you want to open a new project from NVivo, you can go to File, and then you can go to Open, and you can browse. And then here you have make sure that you choose the REFI-QDA, and then we are choosing focus group from MAXQDA. And let's see what we're going to get. So it's asking you to give it a browse to save that information. I go to desktop and I'm going to save this one. I'm going to save it as focus group, and I will say new, right? And then I click on save and I click on convert. So let's see how the system is going to look like. Okay, so you can see that here focus group, the two files came. That's perfect, right? Because we have two files. And let's go to codes. You will also have codes here, but it's a okay. I have my 3 research questions and the codes and the themes under that. Perfect. But I also have codes, and then under the codes for the groups, and under that we have the participant. I think it's say the same when I go to, let me go to the focus group, right? So when you go to focus group, and here we have the speakers and all two groups, the system creates containers or codes for each of the group, and also under that we create code for each of the participants. So it's quite similar to what I have here in NVivo, right? So what exported from MAXQDA, the structure is quite similar to what we have here. So that's very good, right? So let me see whether I have the demographic. I don't have demographics, so this means that if you have demographics there, let's go to MassQDA. I have demographics there because if I go to list of speaker variables, right? So I have all these variables there, their gender, their age range, profession role. It wasn't part of the project that was transferred. So this means that you have to create your own um, create the demographic information. So this is a lesson that I've seen. So it looks like when it comes to demographic information, when you transfer your project from one software to another, you lose the information about the demographic. You have to set the demographics up, right? So that's the information that you lose mainly. Some places is the area, there are some, but I can also see that when you transfer from ATLAS.ti, you get about 70% of the information about the project. So this means that in terms of the themes, you may be able to get the themes, but or information connected to the themes or quotation connected to the themes are not there. So that's the thing that I've learned about these transfers. So you have to be aware that it's not going to be perfect. You may lose some information, But for some qualitative analysis software, you lose more, right? Especially if you have ATLAS.ti and want to transfer that information into any other tool, you lose information about the themes, right? In addition to demographic information, right? So that's the lesson that I've learned here. Let's try one more thing. Let's say you have a survey data, right? So let me open a survey data from MAXQDA. So if you have a survey data from MAXQDA, so this is a survey data. So as you can see, only one document was imported. Excel spreadsheet was imported. It contained open-ended responses, and these are all the participants. There are 100 participants. So one document was imported, and then the system was able to extract all the participant information. So when you double click on each participant, you see their responses and also their demographics, right? So, and then I've already analyzed the data. I have my themes. If you want to see their demographics, you can go to variables and then click on list of variable, and then you'll be able to see the variables. And then if you click here, which is the editor, data editor, you'll be able to see all the demographic information about participants, right? You can see demographic information, their age, gender, education, and other variables that you want to explore, right? Let's export it to NVivo and see what we're gonna get. So if you want to export, what do? You go to home, you go to save a project as, and then you make sure that you choose the last option, which is REFI-QDA. And then you choose the place to save, and then you click on save. Right. So now you have exported it, and let's see whether we'll be able to open it in NVivo. We go to NVivo, you go to File, you go to Open, and then go to Browse. And this time you want to make sure that you choose REFI, and then I'm choosing the survey data. So I double click on it, and then it asks me to browse and save. So I go to a place to save. This one is a survey data. I'll just say survey new, and then click on save and click on convert. And let's see what we're going to get. Okay, so it looks like all the information has been transferred, but it's so interesting here. When we go to MAXQDA, let me show you. It's only one file, right? That was import, right? And for me to do the analysis, and then the system was able to extract each participant information. When I brought it here, the system has created a Word document for each participant, right? So now it's not an Excel spreadsheet anymore. It's just, so as you can see, let me try to open one of them. So as you can see here, right, it's just a Word document, and all the participant information is there, right? The open-ended responses and also their demographic. When you double click on the second one, you see something, the similar structure, right? So the formatting has changed a little bit, but all the information that you need is there. So you have all the 100 participant information. So let me go to codes. The codes are there. And yes, so you can see that all the themes that I created are here, right? So that's a very good news. And another thing that you have to be aware of, right? You see here, the theme is 000. Now it's showing that there's no information in the theme, right? But when you click on the plus sign, there's information under, but it didn't populate here. So you always have to make sure that you right click on the theme and go to aggregate coding from children, right? So that all the information will populate up. So you see here that for 0 now is 2, 12, and 16 because it has taken that information here. So you always have to make sure that you go through and right click and go to aggregate coding from children so that all the information under the theme will come up. So all this information will come up there, will aggregate if you check aggregate coding from children. So you have to make sure that you do that. You have to also do the same thing for the research question. You right click here, and then go to aggregate coding from children, populated. So that's what you have to do. You have to do the same thing for the research question. So that's what you have to do here. This one is also showing you the codes. So the system has created containers for the questions that they were asked in the survey and then their responses. So if you can see that this question was asked about their thought on stigma and they gave their response. If you want to see the response, you double click on it. So this is extra information is not needed, really needed here, but it's just following the format that we can see here. So we see the same that information in MAXQDA under the codes, right? Information system was created a code and then the code for the question that participants were asked, right? Open-ended questions, right? So it's quite similar. Let's see whether we're gonna have demographics. We don't have demographics here, so that's another work that you may do if you want to focus on demographics. But if you want to only review the themes and the codes, then you don't have to worry about demographics here, right? So that's what I have for you. Think about this one. So when you have NVivo, if you want to export, you go to share and you go to export project and then you choose REFI and you browse and look for the place to save that. If you want to import, you go to file, you go to open, and then you go to browse. And then when you go to browse, you always have to change here the file information to REFI so that you can look for that information and then open, right? If you have ATLAS.ti and you want to import, you go to File, you go to New, and you go to Import a project, and then click on Import. And then you'll be able to look for the information here. So I think that you don't have to change anything here because it's for all files, and then you look for information to import, right? If you want to export, you can go to File again and click on Export, and then you can click on Export. Click on the second option here, QDPX, and then click on Export to export that information, right? And you can export. So that's how you can do that if you want to import a file or a project from another software, qualitative software, or export it into another qualitative software. Let's go to MAXQDA. So MAXQDA, if you want to import a project, right, what you have to do is to go to Home, right? You go to Home and go to Open Project, and then you can click on Open, and then you look for the project that you have to open, right? You don't choose anything from here. You just click on Open and then look for that project to open. If you want to export a project into another one, you just have to go to Home and Save As. Then you'll be able to REFI-QDA so that you'll be able to export so that you can open it in another qualitative software. So let's go to Dedoose. Dedoose is simple. If you want to import, you click on Import. You go to Project, Import Project, you go to Submit, and then you'll be able to look for that information to import, right? You don't have to change anything here, just import that project. If you want to export, you click on Export, you go for Export Project, and then you put the recipient email address. You can put your email address or the person that you want to send that information to. Don't provide any password, and you click on Submit, and then you get the link there to export. So I hope this one is helpful to you. If you want to learn more about NVivo, right, and you are new to NVivo, you want to learn it from the beginning to the end, you want to get a basic understanding of NVivo and also advanced understanding of NVivo, I'm having a 2-day workshop from March 9th to March 10th, right? The first day will be 3 hours and the second day will be 3 hours. If you are interested, I'll put a link in my description section there and also the comment section. You can click on it and then you can register. I'll be putting a code there so that you can get a 25% off. The seats are limited. So if you want to learn more about NVivo from the beginning to the end, we're going to do a hands-on and I'm going to address any question. You're going to gain a lot of experience about how to analyze your data. You'll gain the confidence in analyzing survey data, interview data, focus group data. You'll be able to do that open-ended survey data. You'll be able to gain the confidence and the skill to analyze qualitative data. If you have any question, you can contact me or put your questions in the comment section, and I'll be happy to address them for you. So I will see you there and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.